To our speaker today, and let me tell you just a little bit about her. This is Lina Choa. She'll say it right when she gets up here. Choa. Chero. Chero. Yeah, Chero. Almost like Chero the dancer. Chero. Okay, Lina Chero. She's from the local area, and we had a wonderful connect on the phone. She was born in the States, but grew up in Colombia and only returned back here when her parents divorced, speaking no English. And she developed her left brain and became a paralegal for family court, I believe, in Doylestown area, with all that entails, and then moved into the criminal division. And she got the message, and that's the question I have to everyone here. What messages did you get when, where? And that's what we ask our speakers. She got the message. Is this all there is? Remember when you had that come through? Is this it? This is it. And from that, she started pursuing her right brain and developing that into studies of hypnosis, NLP, and then animal communication. So today, a warm welcome to Lina. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful to be here. This is such a great invitation. I couldn't believe it when I got that first email. I read it twice. I'm like, what? Yeah, it was amazing. I so appreciate this invitation and being here. This is such a beautiful place and community. And so I thank you. So like my dear Suzanne was saying, I do come from Colombia. I grew up there where we are surrounded by mountains wherever you are. There's mountains, trees, coffee. The area where I come from is where the coffee grows. So wherever you go, there's coffee. You smell the coffee in some areas, depending on where you walk in. And there is so much fauna and flora in Colombia, and there is so much there that you do not see anywhere else. It's just unique to the country. Like many countries, each country have their own unique things and beauty. In Colombia, we have mountains, we have oceans, we have snow in some places, depending on where you are. We have a little bit of everything. You can find anything you need or you like. It's a beautiful place. And that's where I grew up. And we have always had animals with us. Animals were part of my life, my whole life. Big and small, dogs, cats, birds, big, small, all types of animals. And when I came to this country, I was 19, and like Suzanne says, I had no English. I was born here, but I grew up in Colombia, so therefore I did not know the language. I went to school in Colombia, so when I came here, my plan was first, I need to communicate with people, right? I need to be able to talk to people. So I went on to study English, and then I went to school, I formed my family, and I always had animals in the back of my mind. You know, how can I help? And you think when you're a child, I'm going to be a vet when I grow up, right? Because that's the only thing you see that can help animals. And obviously being a vet was like out of the question because I had a family now. I had to find ways to make it work. I loved the law. I found it fascinating. And to me, it was a way to help people. I worked with a woman's place for a while, helping victims of domestic violence understand the legal system and understand sometimes translating for them, Spanish to English, English to Spanish. I understood then why, in a way, I grew up in a family where there was violence. And so I was the child of the victim of abuse. And that's when I understood why I had to live that life so that I could be here and understand this woman in front of me and understand her children, because I had been there. And when you are there in that situation, it's easier for you to understand others and to connect with others. So that was one thing I understood. Now I get why. Anyway, so I went through my whole paralegal years, raising the family, still going to school for other things, always wanted to learn. I have always been curious. I have always want to know more and more and more. And so, like Suzanne mentioned, one day I was sitting in the couch and after I'd done a whole week of the same, little wheel that you go through, you get up, you go to work, you do the things that you have to do, you do the homework, you do the cleaning house, you do everything that you need to do. And then you go to bed, and then you get up and you do the exact same thing again. And I feel like it was Groundhog Day, talking about animals for me. And I thought, there has to be something else. There has to be more that I can do and I can offer. Because at that point I had gone through different jobs. And it always comes to a point where you do this job and then one day you're not needed anymore. And then you get the other job, and then one day you're not needed anymore. And then you do your job, and then it gets to become a pattern. And then you wonder, why is this happening? And perhaps there is something else I need to be doing so that I don't get to that point where I'm not needed anymore. And that's when I started going through that rabbit hole of the spiritual path. And so when you start questioning yourself, things start to appearing for you. Connections, there's people, there's this document, there's this TV show, there's this signs, And I get this little pamphlet, Happy Horsham adult evening classes. And so I said, okay, great, I'd like to learn what is there for me, so they have all these classes listed. And I see the one that talks about there is something more for you out there. Do you want to find out what that is? There is a higher purpose for you. And I felt like this person is talking to me. She's talking to me. So her name is Marion McGowan. And she was the first person I heard talking about Circle of Miracles. When I went to her class, she had the angels class. Find out who your angel's name, and find out a way to get to your purpose. And so she was my first connection. She got me there first. And then, as you know, when you open up to this spiritual world, things start happening, things start connecting. And I had animals in my mind, always. I always had animals with me. And some of them had been sick, and I always look for ways to help them out, to keep them healthier, to know more about how to make their lives better. And then I started getting those little pieces of information about animal communication. And I thought, wow. And I admired those people. I was like, oh my gosh, how do they do it? It's so amazing what they do. My first connection was Penelope Smith. She was has been an animal communicator for a very long time. And she had books and CDs, little classes. I took everything I could. And then through her, I met another person, and another class, and more information until I found a place where I could learn this. And I said, yes, that's it. And of course, as you know, you're excited about something, but then you have all these limitations, all these fears, all these beliefs. And then I heard that voice from my childhood. Who do you think you are? Mm-hmm. Who do you think you are? Do you think you can do this? It's like, what? Who do you think you are? And that kind of like gave me that hesitation, and then you start the doubts, and then you start the chatter, and you forget that there is a bigger purpose, that there is a bigger picture, and I am a bigger picture person. So I could see the bigger, I had dreams. I had this, every time I meditated, there was something drop on me, telling me, this is the way you need to go. It is as scary as hell, but maybe that's the reason or the force that's gonna get you there, right? But I kept getting there. Who do you think you are? You think you're gonna good at this? You know, and then when I started connecting with other people who were in the same path, they're like, but I am so afraid of this. Do you really think we can do this? The first class that I had, the woman put us in meditation, and she gave us a picture of an animal, and she said, tell me what she likes. And so you get into meditation, and of course the chatter is gone. What do you think you can do this? Oh my God, you can't do this. And then you get these little drops of things, and you say the words, I'm getting this word. And she's just writing things down. And at the end, she confirms exactly what I got. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, it was like another world opened up for me. It's like, really, I can really do this? And then as you learn more and more and more about the mind's power and how our spirits are meant to be bigger than this, and we are here to do so much more than just sitting in front of a desk every day and do the same thing 24 hours. We are so much more. We are so connected, and every one of us have something to give and to offer. There is a gift in every single one of us. We just have to find it, and have the courage to step into the unknown, which is the other scary part, the unknown. But it's almost like driving a car. When you drive a car at night, you only see a small portion of the road, and then you have to get there to see the other portion of the road, and then you have to get there and see the other portion of the road. And that's how you, step by step, just get there, little by little. Next thing you know, you have a lot of people telling you how good you are at what you do, and thank you, and sending you emails and booking sessions because you are so good at it. And it just fills your heart with love, and you just want to do more and more and more and more. So I thought, through hypnosis, through NLP, I can now help the human, because there's such a connection between humans and animals that if the human has a joyful, peaceful life, that's what that human has to offer, not only to that animal, but to the whole community and beyond. What else do we have to offer? Animals are just pure love, and they have so much to give us. And they are so interested in you knowing more about yourself than you ever want to know about yourself. Every time I connect with animals, they can tell you, I say to people, you want to know how awesome you are? Ask your animal. They will tell you, because they know. They see you as the greatest thing there is. You are the center of the world, except some cats. For some cats. They may have a different birthday, but they still care about you. But it is amazing to how we use telepathy, because that's what is used to communicate with animals. Telepathy is the transmission of images, feelings, and sounds. That's simple. It's not this woo-woo crazy thing that only a few people can do. Every single one of us can do that. If you think about a friend sometimes, and then all of a sudden you get a text from that friend, that's telepathy. If you're in the supermarket and you're like grabbing something because you feel like you need to take that home, and then your loved one says, oh, how do you know? I wanted that exactly. How did you know? That's telepathy. We communicate with each other all the time. without the verbal signs. Just your behavior, your mannerisms, the way you look at things, the way sometimes people know you so well that you walk in the room and they said, what's wrong? Because it's telepathy. We are constantly connected. And so that is a muscle that you just strengthen. And that's how we get to connect with animals, with plants, with the environment around us, with the planet. You can go as far as you want to. It's up to you. It's up to you wanting to connect and having that desire to connect with everything. So if there's any questions, I can give you also, I'm sorry, I wanted to give you a little story on some of my readings. Is that okay? So I had this client who came in and said, I want to know why my dog hates me. Okay, so I'm writing my notes. I said, what do you think he hates you? Well, he has spent so much time with my husband. He doesn't care about me. It's all about my husband. And I'm just his cook. I'm basically his cook. Okay, so let's ask. His name is Manny. So let's ask Manny what he has to say. And Manny says, I first asked him, what do you love about your home? And he says, oh, I love my home. It has so many windows. And I love when my mom is in the garden and I can run around while she's working in her garden. And I love when mom cooks for me, all those cookies and that food is so good. Everything is so good. I love being with my mom, but I spend a lot of time with dad. And I spend a lot of time with dad because he needs me. He needs me. Mom is very strong and she takes care of everything and everybody. She's very independent. Dad needs me. Dad is the one who needs me. He gets sad sometimes. So I like to keep him company. So I go back to the client and I said, well, this is what he says. And she almost started crying because she said, my husband suffers from depression. And now I understand because Manny understands. He understood who needed him the most, and that's where he goes. And he knew that mom was the stronger person, so therefore his love was towards the whole family. He was a protector. He protected his home. He did his job, and he thought he was doing a good job by supporting the person who needed him the most. So that created a different relationship between her and him, because now she understood what he was doing. And that's what happens when you get to know what your animal is saying, what your animal needs you to know. The other case was someone who lost her cat, and she says, I haven't here, he comes and goes, and I haven't heard from him for a couple of days, so I want to make sure that he's okay. And when I communicated with him, I felt the switch in energy. And I realized that he was no longer with us. He had crossed over to Rainbow Bridge. And he says, I went out in the middle of the night because I didn't want them to worry. I wanted them to just sleep because I knew what I had to do. I knew it was my time, and I decided to go on my own and take care of business. But I am okay now. I am without pain. I love my family. I love the time I spend with them. And he showed me images of spending time in the kitchen while mom is cooking and walking around the windows and looking at the birds and enjoying just chilling time with his family. He says, I'm very grateful for this beautiful life, but it was time for me to go. And so that was giving peace of mind to this person who thought that her cat was, when you lose an animal, it's like, oh goodness, so finally peace of mind. In many cases, yes.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I said in many cases, this is such a relief for people to know what happened to their animals.